My name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur, so you can go out there today and do something remarkable. But in the meantime, click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads. Now, how do you go about discovering who you are? A lot of people get tripped up over this, but it's a rather straightforward, simple, devilishly simple process. Firstly, there's a few questions to ask yourself. To discover who you are takes a lot of thinking, a lot of pondering. No distractions, nothing else like that can distract you from thinking clearly. This is something that tripped me over years ago, where I was at college and university and school, commuting, and all the things that were distracting me daily, and all these things were distracting me, and my attention and awareness was being diverted from looking inwards and thinking who I am, what do I believe in, what do I stand for, things like that, what do I like, what do I dislike. My attention was being distracted externally, that I was unable to focus internally and question and think and ponder. Not necessarily meditate, because I didn't really do it back then, but there was no time to sit and think and like, and you get the idea. The first thing is, when you're distracted by things in the world, your attention, your awareness is being diverted. And when it's being diverted, you're losing time that you can then you can use for self-reflection to realise who you are, what do you believe in. You might get some moments throughout the day, if you're on the train or the bus, for example, or when you're driving, you get a chance to reflect inwards, internally. But it's not. It helps. It helps. It's not the same as all the time, for example. So one great big thing to help you discover who you are is don't have distractions. Don't be distracted by things. Find time for yourself. Sit down, meditate, focus. Transcendental meditation. Look into that. Explore, discover, think, and sit and ponder, and just think. Thinking is very important. There's a famous book, actually, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I highly recommend checking it out. It's a massively deep book. And in the introduction, it says that people when people are given the choice of either going to work or sitting home and thinking, they choose going to work. A lot of people will not sit at home and think who they are, just think their thoughts and think and just who are they without any distractions. So that's the first thing. Don't be distracted and just reflect inwards, internally. Other thing then consider is, ask yourself these 4 questions. What do strangers consistently compliment you on? Because when strangers can compliment you on things, it means that someone in the world that has an unbiased opinion of you, no connections or nothing, never seen you before, never met you, never heard of you, etc. They meet you for the first time in their life and in your life, and they notice something in you. They notice a talent, an ability, a competence in something, and for them to compliment you about it shows a lot of talent and ability in that certain thing, because people might notice things in people, but people don't really comment or mention things unless either it's really bad or it's really good, and it's noteworthy, or it's really, really crap. Unless it's either of those, they're not going to bother. If it's in the middle, they're not going to bother. If it's in the middle, they won't bother at all. They're not. If it's whatever. But oh wow, you're really smart, you're really clever, then they'll compliment. So that means is people that have no connection to you, if they compliment you, it means that you've got some expertise in something that they recognise in you, but you might not recognise for one reason or another, distracted or take it for granted, but they recognise it in you, which is very important. Other thing is, what kind of environment did you grow up around? Because your environment that you grew up around determines who you are today. The nature or nurture that you received, the thoughts, the people, the language, the dialogue, the programming, for example, that you received at a young age is embedded in you, and you were brought up with it. You internalize it. If someone says something negative to you at a young age, that stays in your mind forever, and it consumes you, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that gets amplified and magnified and whatever fried you want to say, and you grow up with it. If a negative comment is made at a young age, you grow up with that. You grow up believing this negative thought, and these negative thoughts reinforce and reinforce and reinforce. It's very powerful, very deep psychology. Words are very powerful. That's why you can be very careful what you say to other people, and what you say to, especially to children as well. And in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, you agree, when you look at language through that lens, through that scientific lens, then you understand how powerful language really is. What is called embedded commands. You can do these almost without knowing about them, but the brain will still process them the same, embedded commands. Like, for example, I'm very careful what I say to myself and to other people. Like, I will say, you can do this if you do this. I'll not say the opposite to that, because if you say don't do this or do this, the brain only really processes the do this bit. So if you say don't trip over, the brain will then process that bit, trip over, even subconsciously. And especially when you're aware of it, you'll think, okay, flip it around, saying be careful when you walk. Walk on this part of the road instead. Do this, do that, and the brain, this kind of upbringing, the messaging, the language you use and you consume at a very young age is very, very critical. When people say stuff like, oh, you always be shy, ooh, very careful not to say that kind of stuff, because when people hear it, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in their brain, whether consciously or subconsciously. You can be very careful what you say, because words have power, and everything is vibration, and as these things enter your ears, they get processed and translated into thought, into sound, and all the rest, or sound, then into thought, and then into action. And that action, then it gets embedded into you, or those thoughts embedded into you, and those thoughts then later on get translated into action. It's very powerful stuff. A little bit dangerous at times. Very careful what you say. If to learn more about this, or you don't believe me, look into NLP, embedded commands. Very fascinating stuff. Embedded commands. So what do strangers consistently compliment you on? What kind of environment did you grow up around? What have you been doing for the past 5 years? Because what you've been doing for the past 5 years indicates a level of expertise, a level of persistence and commitment to a cause. It's 2017 now, so 5 years ago, 2012, I was in just finishing first year of university, and then going into second year, and graduated 2014. So over the past 2.5 years, entrepreneurship. Before that, I was at university. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been working on. And in the past 2.5 or so years, August, yeah, 2.5, just under 2.5 years actually. So 2 1/3 or something like that. Entrepreneurship, learning, reflecting, building, creating, reading, researching, making mistakes, mentors, building businesses, writing. Writing a book or two, more than 2 actually, yeah, but still. Because what you can focus on and what you're persistent with indicates what your talents are and what you love. And in life, there's only really 2 requirements. You can do whatever you want in life, whatever you want, but there's only 2 requirements. You've got to be happy with what you're doing, emotional requirement, happiness, and competent, getting the fruits of your labour. If one of these or both of these are not fulfilled by you, then you need to stop and do something else. Steve Jobs once said that if what you're about to, how to phrase it now, there's a quote by him. If you treat every day as though it's the last day on earth, and if you're going to do something today that's supposedly your last day on earth, that you don't enjoy, and there's enough of those days in succession, then you need to do something else. So if you have too many days in a row where you're not doing what you love to do, and you're passionate, and you want to make a difference, and want to see the difference in the world, if you're not doing that for enough days in a row, then you need to do something else. If you are not if you're not making the difference or making a dent in the universe that you want to see in enough sequential days, then you need to stop what you're doing and do something else. If this is your last day on earth, and you're not enjoying your last day on earth for enough days in a row, then you need to do something else. Very important. And what you've been doing for the last 5 years indicates a level of expertise and persistence and commitment and devotion towards this cause, towards this mission, towards this difference you want to make in the world. And that's very important, because when you understand what you've been doing for the last 5 years, then you can say, I like this, I like that, I like this. Ooh, let's try and reverse engineer it, let's try and embed that into future actions, future goals and missions and everything else like that. Very important. And the last one is So we have, what do strangers consistently compliment you on? I remember it now. Strangers consistently compliment you on. What environment did you grow up around? Your environment. What have you been doing for the last 5 years? And lastly, and this is fascinating, what topic can you talk about effortlessly for 20 plus minutes to a group of people, regardless of size? 10 people, 20 people, 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people. What subject can you talk about effortlessly to a group of people? Because that demonstrates a damn good level of expertise in something. And also the last caveat actually is get them thinking as well. So what can you talk about that will get them thinking? Oh, he makes a good point. Oh, he's smart. Oh, he's very clever. Things like that. Because one, as a side note, a TEDx talk or a TED talk is roughly 16 to 25 odd minutes. That's an ideal time from a psychological point of view when an audience can sit down and be patient and listen to something without getting a bit restless. So if you can talk for something 20 minutes and get people thinking, then what is that subject? A few days ago, 2 days ago, I recorded a video and it was 16 minutes long. It was about, I can't remember what it was about now. Something to do with entrepreneurship. And it was, the differences between entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs. And that video was like 16 minutes long, and that's quite impressive. So it's like sit down and think, what can you talk about for 20 plus minutes? It doesn't matter on the size of the audience, but the point is, if you can talk about a subject that you know, like and love, that you want to see in the world, you want to champion that cause, and you can talk about it for 20 plus minutes, so you know a lot about it, you're a smart cookie, and you get them thinking, you get them agreeing with you, get them shaking their heads or nodding their heads in agreements with you, then it's like, you know your stuff, and you're presenting it to the world. You're demonstrating your expertise to the world. You're talking about it with the world. When you can do that, then people will then start to recognise your talents, and that helps you. That reinforces you, and they're more likely to work with you or compliment you. And as a quick side note, it's not what you know, it's not who you know. No. It's who knows you. So if you have the capacity to stand in front of an audience and give a talk about something you know, like, and love, and they agree with you, they recognise your talents, and they like what you got to say, then they're going to talk about you and share it with the rest. Especially a video, for example, they'll share it with you and share it elsewhere, and it'll be discovered across the world. Or even if it's just in person, people will contact you, come after the event, come up to you and say, "Come on my show. I got a podcast. I want you on my show," or whatever, or got a news article, whatever else. When you can give information out into the world, then it's reciprocity. You're going to get more benefits back. The more you give to the world, the more you're going to get back. There's a little parable that I learned a few years ago, which is there's a fireplace, and someone's freezing, and he's not going to get heat unless he gives something to the fire first. You can't go to the fireplace. Give me some heat, give me some light, and then I'll give you some wood, some fuel. You've got to give something before you get back. You got to give some flint or some sparks, some heat, some fuel to this fire, to this kindle wood, to this fireplace before it can give you the heat and the light you desperately want. And there's an old saying by Zig Ziglar, actually, there's a quote. I've got one of his books, which is, to get what you want in life, you have to help people get what they want. And that's reciprocity. And that also is capitalism as well. Without making this too political, economical, that's capitalism. Give you what you want, so I get what I want. So unless you can talk about something, that helps, that shows expertise, that shows experience. It also is a good way to demonstrate your knowledge and on your website, and your business as well. So, what do strangers consistently compliment you on? I've always been told I'm the ideas guy. I'm quite creative that way. And I remember being told that in March of 2016. And I didn't believe it. And now, in hindsight, I think, yeah, he's right. I agree. And it's like, let's leverage it. Let's use it. Let's take it to the next level. And the book that I'm writing right now is all about creativity and inbound marketing and content marketing. Different strategies of creating content and being discovered online. And the book kind of helps with the last one as well, 20 minutes thing. But I'll get to that in a moment. So, what do strangers consistently compliment you on? As I said, March 2016, someone said I'm an ideas guy. And I always had this as well. a few years ago. I'm an ideas guy, so interesting note. What kind of environment did you grow up around? My environment was, well, the childhood was very interesting. I played a lot of video games, whether it's good or bad, but I didn't make any mistakes though. Or didn't make many mistakes. It was quite shielded childhood, arguably. No, let's leave it at that. So rather shielded, rather naive, actually. Come to think of it, I remember at school, like they got these exams, and it's like, what's this exam all about? I got school. Let's do a class, and there's an exam. You know what GCSE and all the rest. Just do, okay, just learn and do. So interesting. But the point of that is, there's no real negative reinforcement. There was no real negativity. It was just like, just get on with it, I suppose. Like, what am I doing? I don't know. Just go, I suppose. Do something, which actually is actually quite a good habit to have. Just go with the flow, because it's like people will overthink things, and procrastination can also come from overthinking. And when you try and just go with the flow, jump out the plane, and then sort the parachute out. Then don't have analysis paralysis, with meaning, oh, do this, and the thinking and strategizing and planning and like tweaking and Excel sheets and all this and the calculators. No. Just get the MVP and run with it, and then figure it out on the way. Just go. So quite naive, which is a good and a bad thing. Strangers, background, 5 years. As I said earlier, university and all the rest. So a few different things, but 3 years from now it'll be like pure entrepreneurship, and it's like, yeah. Interesting thing is, the mindset I have now, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago even, it's like I can't imagine going back to the previous life. Just I've changed so much. I've gone from here to there in 5 years, and it's like, well, let's continue with that trend, and let's share that experience, talk about it, share it with the world, because this video is free. Just talk about it with the world. People need to know these lessons. People can learn from my mistakes, so let's do it. And 20 plus minutes. This video, I'm not sure how long this video is, but it's going on for a little while, which is quite good. So right here is demonstration that I can talk about something for, I don't know, certainly 15 minutes right now, but I'm not sure how long this has been, but probably 20 minutes, or I don't know, whatever. But yes, my book, for example, let me write a script, let me take down some notes, a bit of planning, and then I can do a talk quite easily 40-minute talk on my book that I'm going to write. If I really want, it could be probably about an hour and a half talk with half an hour for Q&A, or an hour's talk with half an hour's Q&A, some metric like that, but I can very easily do it. In fact, I created a course for Udemy a few days ago, and it's a free course, my first Udemy course, and it's for free, and it's me talking about 3 fatal mistakes entrepreneurs make. So the trouble with NIMBY, when marketing does not feel like marketing, and how to become the person you want to be. And that is it's a free course, and it's 4 hours long, or 3.5 hours, something like that, of me talking to the microphone. So it's like, yeah, I can very easily talk for 20 plus minutes. So that's how you discover who you are. You do a lot of internal reflection. You think who you are, what do you believe in, what do you stand for, what do you want in life, what difference you want to see in the world. Who are you? Fascinating question. Who am I? Let's not go in there. Very spiritual. It's a fascinating question. And you think, who are you? And then you analyse what you've done. What do strangers compliment you on? What can you talk about? What environment did you grow up around? And what was the other one? I always forget these. Environment, strangers, talk about effortlessly, and last 5 years, that's it. When you can talk about these things and you understand these things, then you understand who you are, and then you realise what your strengths and weaknesses are. Like, for example, I started to realise in late summer 2013 that I was more of a visionary, a leader, as opposed to an administrator or a bureaucrat or behind the scenes. I'm more of a doer. I'm more a leader, a visionary, a big picture kind of guy, which kind of might stem from or stem to the idea guy thing. So it's like, So as opposed to a day-to-day guy or a bureaucrat or an administrator, just different wiring in the brain. There's a personality test called Myers-Briggs, which is 16personalities.com, and mine is ENTJ, extrovert, intuitive, thinking and judging. I'm not quite sure what that means per se, but it means the commander. which means the big picture kind of guy. So it's like I started to realise that subtly at the end of summer 2013, and it's like, yeah, it's just not quite, a bit incompatible. So I realised that, and that's how you go about discovering who you are. You think, have time, and answer those questions, and just think, this is who I am. A lot of thinking and pondering, discovering, travelling as well. Travelling is a damn good one. Travel the world, see different places, see different people, do different things. And another good one also is read biographies as well, autobiographies or biographies. I've got a few biographies here: Richard Branson and Alan Sugar, and I got loads over there as well: Steve Jobs, Tony Blair, Alex Ferguson, Benazir Bhutto, Lee Evans, Norman Wisdom, George Washington, Winston Churchill, Jordan Belfort, John Cleese, Freddie Mercury, Ken Livingstone, Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama. I've got Albert Speer, Johnny Depp, Susan Boyle, Alan Partridge. I've got Arnold Schwarzenegger there, Duncan Bannatyne, Gorbachev, Chris Hadfield, Howard Hughes. I've got Jeff Bezos and Abramovich, Walt Disney, Sam Walton. I've got Oliver Cromwell right there. That's unexpected. Oscar Pistorius and Notch, the guy behind Minecraft. That's really it. So reading these biographies help. George Washington and Tim Burton, I believe. So reading biographies helps you because you read the person's story, their journey, what they went through in life, way before what they are today, and it's like, you know the end story. So it's like this person went through difficulty and hardship, and yet you know ultimately today they are what they are today. So you read these stories, the struggle and hardship they went through, but you know ultimately that led them what they are today. And be careful of what's called survivorship bias, where the lessons they drawn or the principles they gathered might not be compatible with your situation, but understand this: they went through hardship. Here's where they are today. You're going through hardship. Where will you be today? With persistence. And this is something very important to understand, that is. So you've got to understand that these people went through hardship, and yet they persisted, they pivoted, they had challenges, and yet they are successful in their own way. Success is different for everyone, but these people went through struggle and hardship and they achieved what they wanted. They stood up for what they believed and they did things they want to do in life. So biographies are very helpful as well. Damn good. Damn good. And these all yet to be read. I've read a few there. Branson and Alan Sugar, and a little bit Napoleon Bonaparte as well. So yeah, some fascinating stuff. So biographies, and a lot of pondering and travel. Travel helps. I've not done much of that lately, at all, to be honest. So it's like I need to change. I need to get in gear with that. But I'm focusing on a few other things. So that's how you go about discovering who you are. Fascinating journey, and I highly recommend it. But also in the meantime, remember that this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So go out there today and do something remarkable. But in the meantime also, click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads. How cool is that?